I, 28F, am getting married today to my fiancé, 30M. It's the legal document signing and our ceremony is on Saturday. I haven't slept in 24 hours, I just am feeling so much anxiety. For reference, we were together/living together for about 3 years before becoming long distance for 1.5 years. I'm back in the country for a week to visit him and family and to have our wedding. For the last month he has been ghosting me for sometimes even weeks at a time. I know it's because he's going through a mental health crisis, but no matter how much I tell him his actions are causing me pain and straining our communication, he can't change. When he goes through rough times he absolutely shuts down for everyone, especially me. It hurts so much every time knowing that even the person he says is his best friend and future wife, he doesn't trust or respect enough to share or ease his pain. I thought coming back to the country and the marriage would wake him up from his ghosting tendencies this past month, but it's not. He had a very important meeting at work yesterday that either meant he'd get a raise or be unemployed, and now I don't hear anything from him at all. He's ignoring my calls, he's ignoring my texts, and there are red receipts, so I know it's intentionally ignored. It's the morning of, and we are literally set to sign our marriage paperwork in a few hours from now. But I was up all night because I can't shake the anxiety that this isn't what he wants. That he is just doing this to appease me despite this being a joint decision. I still can't even get a hold or reach him. I try so hard to communicate everything with him, but this hurts me deeply, down to my core. Part of me wants to drive over to his apartment and beat his door down and just demand answers as to how he could treat someone he claims he loves this way. But I know he'd just shut down further, say he's sorry, and then bury himself deeper into his guilt and depression. How can I be supportive through his mental health crisis while also keeping firm on the this is 500,000% some disrespectful and harmful behavior that is absolutely unacceptable in my opinion. When we were about to be long distance he begged me to try it out because I knew his inability to properly communicate his feelings would be miserable over long distance. But he begged me and promised he would change. I would say he did improve, but if this last month has shown me anything, it's that I'm about to marry someone who has no qualms and sees no consequence in ghosting your spouse for weeks at a time. This whole thing gives me so much anxiety I have no idea what to do. Any advice on how to calm my anxiety or maybe try to be more supportive to coax him out of the horrid way his depressive episode is manifesting would be greatly appreciated. Before I forget, yes, of course I've tried to get him to see a therapist or get on medication. For years. There is basically a 0% chance that, if it's coming from me or anyone in my family, he would ever listen to that advice. It's incredibly frustrating and not an option that I can even bring up with him anymore without the conversation devolving and him shutting me out even further. I will not be tolerating or responding to any accusations of him cheating or people just saying don't marry him. He is loyal but has a multitude of mental health issues, and I will marry him regardless of what anyone says on the internet. I just want some advice is all. TLDR, my fiancé keeps ghosting me for weeks at a time and he's doing it again even on the day we are getting married, which is causing me insane anxiety. Edit, I won't be reading anything anymore, and please stop messaging me. If you see a woman who is genuinely struggling with something and clearly has no one else to turn to for advice other than random people on the internet and your response is to ridicule her and call her an idiot, then congratulations, my last idea of seeking help has failed. Clearly I had no one else to go to, it's my wedding day and I'm on Reddit. I don't know why I expected anything less than hate messages and ridicule. Maybe there isn't some magic way to help him through this period of grief, but I didn't think I deserved to be sent all these cruel messages so instantly. To the people messaging me and calling stupid, idiotic, doormat, and that I deserve whatever unhappy life awaits me, you've won. Comment where Op has replied, I see original, he's been ghosting you for the last month and you thought marriage would fix this? You don't want anyone here to tell you not to marry him when that's the most logical and smart decision here. You've created your own misery and are determined to continue doing so. What do you want from us? We can't make him unghost you and we can't make you feel better about this decision you know is dumb as hell. You have a man with mental health problems that refuses to get help, that's causing severe relationship issues, and you're willingly signing yourself up, aligning yourself legally to have more of these problems till death do you part? When you have kids and he ghosts you, then what are you going to do? I hope you get what you deserve from this situation. Whatever that entails. Oop, this marriage has been planned for much longer than just the last month. It wasn't some solution I created by myself. And it isn't no contact for the whole month. Just a week of no contact before he comes back and apologizes for the absence due to unavoidable life events. Then contact for a week before another week of no contact before something else comes up. We spent the whole day together 3 days ago, but because of the meeting yesterday it's now been a day and a half of nothing again. To answer your question of what I'd like, compassion and actual helpful advice was what I was searching for. Not judgment and malice. Update 1, May 2nd, 2024. My life was great. My relationship was great. Until yesterday it suddenly wasn't. The last month felt a bit off, but I didn't think it would lead to this. I still love him intensely. He still loves me intensely. He wants to stay with me, it's just that he says he can't do marriage because he can't untie the trauma he has from the idea of it from his childhood, cult stuff. My mom says I'll be a pathetic fucking loser if I still stay with him regardless and that he'll never be a part of the family. But I want to stay with him regardless. But I don't know if I can live with the constant fear, anxiety, and insecurities that will come from being with someone who can just leave whenever he feels like it. My wedding is on Saturday and my family still wants to have it since it's more of a small family gathering already anyways, since his family wasn't invited due to cult stuff. My life as I know it feels completely over. I don't know what to do. The person I turned to for empathy and compassion turned to me screaming that I'm a fucking idiot. I'm only in the country for my wedding, I live abroad. My new job and my fiancé pressured me and reassured me I should already use my new married name professionally. I'm a teacher and all my kids already know me as his name. Everything sucks and I can't stop sobbing. Edit, to clarify. He left me while we were about to sign the marriage certificate. It's a symbolic left at the altar since there was never going to be an actual altar anyway. I told my mom that the way she phrased her advice/opinion was cruel. She told me she's tired of my drama and doesn't need it in her old age. I already had told her she was right and I knew what she said was right, but just that the way she said it was cruel. She said she no longer cares about maintaining a relationship with me and that it isn't worth the drama at her age. I apologized because she's right. I'm a piece of shit who never saw that this situation hurt and humiliated her too. I wanted to just have this be a nice party with friends and just spend time together. I'm going to try my best to keep my negativity inside so it doesn't spoil the mood and maybe there's a hope to salvage it as a good party. But I think once I return abroad that this will be the last time my mom will ever speak to me again. I don't know how I could repay her for all she spent on this wedding, but hopefully removing myself from her life will maybe make her life more peaceful and less stressful, even if it destroys me. As for him, thank you all so much for your kindness, advice, and perspectives. It truly makes me feel better to read the comments even if they hurt and I deserve it. We will be talking about it tomorrow in person, and I've scheduled an emergency therapy appointment for myself for tomorrow morning. I've never done therapy before, and I'm scared, but I know it's what I need. I'm so angry at him for ruining my entire life that I don't know if the love I have can salvage this. Comments. Giesel, no, Han. You can't be with someone who cannot effectively communicate their fears and needs and, instead, choose to run. He failed you. He does not get to treat you like that. You deserve better. Your mom may have let her anger for you make her word things poorly, but she is right. That dude does not get to have his cake and eat it too. Go back home. Go no contact with him. Finish out the teaching contract as it. Then, my recommendation is to find a teaching job in a dream location. Maybe, be a traveling teacher for a few years. Heal. Live big. And, if you wish, find love again. Oop, I am a traveling teacher already. I'm home right now just for the week so that I could do my wedding. Back to where I live abroad next week to live a life of isolation and loneliness. Thunderco, please elaborate on cult stuff. That could literally be anything. Oop. He's seen marriage used as a way to entrap and oppress women due to the cult culture of his family. He doesn't understand that what he's done is created a tilted power dynamic where he's holding all the power and autonomy, and I'm the scared, anxiety-riddled one, terrified he'll leave at any moment in any possible future we may have now. Which is honestly worse in my opinion. Dedekrypur, so many questions, but at the top of my head is these. Why did he agree to marry you? Why were you using a name that wasn't yours for so long that your students know you by that name? Haven't you talked beforehand with him? Was this relationship one-sided? Oop, he asked me to marry him. My job told me to start using his name because the school year started in April and I would be changing my name in May. I said no, it felt like I'd jinx it. I called him and he said stop being such an overthinker and just use my name. I talked with him, he reassured me. It's been 3 weeks that my kids know me as that name. And to be honest, yes, it does feel one-sided. But not in the way you're implying. Update 2, May 8, 2024. For a brief recap, I was going to the officiant to sign my marriage license with my fiancé, who I'd been with for 4 years. He chickened out and said he couldn't marry me and ruptured my image of us. TLDR at bottom. On to the update. Since I was so brutally humiliated, it really made me think back on all the not great parts of us. He was always very gaslighty whenever I'd claim his actions reflected the opposite of his words. I respect you, I care for you. So I ended up talking to him. I asked him to define what his definition of loving someone, respecting someone, caring for someone, and trusting someone means. Needless to say, they were twisted and not healthy at all. I tried to make him see that and he had a few moments of holy shit, I think you're right, I don't actually trust or respect you. Now just because he admitted it didn't mean the crazy selfish actions didn't continue throughout the entirety of the conversation. It was so crazy how I'd never been able to articulate it in a way to where he actually understood before. He actually had the gall to say, wow, we should have had this conversation a long time ago, because of how much he was realizing he was treating me like trash, then gaslighting me about it. I was like, bitch, I've been trying to tell you this for years, but you never respected me enough to listen, and I was always too emotional to articulate it properly. Anyways, he wanted to do marriage counseling with the intent to marry at the end. I told him I'd rather break up because the power dynamic is too shifted and I don't feel like it's salvageable. With how he was listening to me and finally acknowledging and understanding me and his own actions, I was hopeful for maybe a friendship one day in the distant future. But after a teary, bittersweet goodbye, he absolutely ruined it with yet another selfish action right at the last moment. I didn't want to be touched or do physical affection for multiple reasons. One of the main reasons being he uses it for comfort when he's feeling sorry for himself. I had just spent 3 hours explaining how he never thinks of me in any of his actions, and maybe it's cruel of me to keep that last kiss or whatever, but it felt selfish and manipulative to me. So after an actually heartfelt goodbye and promise to be better people in the future, we part ways. Only for him to run back to me to try and do some romantic swoop in and kiss me. I recoiled really fast and honestly just stared at him incredulously. Like he had just ignored everything I had just said. That was the moment I went from sadness and grief from losing something so important to me, to just numb and angry about it. I haven't cried since. I don't even feel sad when I think about him because all I can think about is how angry the whole thing makes me feel. I'm 28 and feel like I wasted my good years on someone who had zero regard for me in any capacity. I developed so many new insecurities, confidence issues, and trauma from 4 years with him, and now I have to navigate the dating pool again with all of that, in a foreign country no less. TLDR, I broke up with him and I'm just angry now. Top comments, Libra_8118, how are you and your mom doing? It sounds like you left your home and family for him. Are you thinking of coming back home? Oop, both my family and him are in America. I left for me, my dreams, and career. I'm actually thankful that I can go back abroad to be away from him, and honestly I need some time away from my mom as well. Forward Cockroach 945, bravo, I'm so proud of you for finally ending it with him. It's likely he only understands you now as a form of gaslighting and trying to placate you. I know it hurts now, but with time you will heal and be stronger. Don't worry about dating right now, worry about loving yourself and nurturing yourself. Give yourself all the love, support, and understanding you normally gave to him. You deserve it. I hope your therapy visits go well and help you build up your self-worth and bullshit detector. I'm so glad to hear you took the right steps towards a healthier, happier life. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Accidentally ex-ed my wife for cheating on me because of her secret intimacy pills kept disappearing, but then I found out it was just my daughter. Me, 52M, and my wife, 50F, have been married for 25 years, and are immensely happy. We of course have the normal fights, me not cleaning the bathroom, argue about me losing money on sports betting, her spending twice as much at the shops as we agreed to, etc., but overall have a really happy marriage. Until about 8 p.m. yesterday night. Recently, we've been having a bit of trouble in the bedroom. I don't want to derail the post, but basically sex has naturally slowed down between the two of us in the last couple years. This has really bothered my wife, and bothered me a bit also, I will admit. Once we vocalized the problem, we both agreed we're going to take steps to fix some things. We talked to some doctors, basically all of them wanted to put my wife on some serious medications, which my wife was pretty against. This led to about a year of building what we call our sex drawer filled of products in the kitchen that my wife has tried and tested and likes the ingredients of. It's nothing crazy, literally things like vitamin D, zinc, some Lubrisil soft gels, maca, stuff that has been tried and tested, nothing too wild and all OTC. Now, here's where things start to go downhill. So, my wife naturally takes these products around the times we're going to be getting intimate, or try. Now, I don't like monitor the kitchen drawer, but sometimes I do peek, I know, but I can't help it. About 3-ish weeks ago I noticed a ton of pills and soft gels were disappearing. Me, thinking I'm about to having a pretty good week, I start to get mentally prepared for it. So, about a week after that, I recheck the drawer, and a ton more of the stuff has been taken. I remember thinking that's weird, we haven't done anything recently. About a week later, the same thing happened, tons of pills and soft gels are gone. And I'm not going to lie, I get in my head a bit. Last night, me and my wife are out to dinner. After a couple glasses of wine I ask my wife why she's been taking so much of the stuff in the sex drawer without trying for any intimacy. I asked coming from an angle of both worry, mostly for health, and confusion. Immediately my wife gets insanely defensive, blows off the conversation and tells me she isn't talking about it. This, of course, makes it where now it's the only thing I want to talk about, and while I respect everyone's I don't want to talk about this, I think something like this should probably be fucking discussed. I press a bit, and for about an hour she's not having this convo. Basically, it gets to the point where I just blatantly ask my wife if she's seeing other people. My wife, who has never been aggressive or loud, starts basically screaming at me in this Italian restaurant. She tells me my daughter, 25F, has been having some relationship issues with her boyfriend, and has been taking some of the stuff to help. I'm like, why the fuck didn't you just tell me? She goes on a rant about how some things are girl to girl and how my daughter didn't want her telling anyone. Which I get, but come on, I buy the things to fill the drawer. My wife ends up leaving the restaurant mid-dinner. I've honestly never seen my wife this mad, I'm honestly a bit worried for our marriage. And to top it off, my daughter is acting awkward around me. I get that I stepped out of line with the questioning, but the defensiveness really caught me off guard, and would have assumed my daughter using our stuff would have been discussed, and I wouldn't have actually cared, and would have bought more stuff. Anytime I try to talk to my wife, she makes it seem like I'm an insane out of control monster, that I've broken the trust in our marriage, and that I've ruined 25 years of progress we've made together. Reddit, am I crazy? I'm beyond confused right now. Edit, 4 hours since I posted. Wow, a lot of incredible information in here. Thank you to everyone for your comments. This post has made me feel better, and has allowed me to think about other aspects of our marriage. I've seen a ton of requests for info, so let me try to answer some of the questions here. Me and my wife didn't go to the doctor for only libido issues. I don't know the general age of Reddit, but as you get older things like menopause and other hormonal issues became a reality, just the way of life. I didn't plan on questioning my wife at the dinner, it had been in the back of my head, and after a few glasses of wine I handled the situation poorly, which I 100% agree with all of you. Not the right time or place, though we've had tough conversations before in public, still doesn't justify it. Calling it a sex drawer may have been a bad name, but it's just how we reference it. We didn't really think too deeply when coming up with the name, and I don't know actually which one of us created it. I don't have a good reason why it's in the kitchen, but we're kind of past the age of caring about what someone may or may not see in our home. I wasn't monitoring the sex drawer. The Lubrisil soft gels, which we keep out of the box, come only in a 30-pill supply, half the pack or so missing, I didn't count, is very obvious even at a quick glance. And for why I didn't automatically assume my daughter, the soft gels mentioned above and some of the other stuff in there are for a specific thing, outside of the vitamins. While I don't know the ingredients too intimately, you wouldn't really expect those things to be shared. And finally, for those mentioning that my wife is still actually hiding something, I appreciate your comments, and it has given me a ton to think about. While I won't jump to those type of conclusions, I do agree that there is probably more that needs to be discussed between me, my wife, and my daughter. Comment where Op has replied, particular_title 42, NTA. I am a little suspicious. Missing stuff requires explanation. I'm also a little curious why you keep sex stuff in a kitchen drawer where just anybody trying to help in your kitchen would have access to them. That's the kind of stuff you keep in a medicine cabinet. Oop, it's basically a drawer of vitamins. Even if guests found it, I doubt they'd actually know what it was. I think that's just where we ended up stuffing things as time went on. I'd if either of us really wanted it there more than where we just ended up putting things. Top comment, inefficient frog, is there parts of this story missing? It feels like there's something missing. Why did you choose to bring this up at a restaurant? Was it to try to avoid the yelling? Did you plan on it being a fight from the start? Get your wife's side of the story and post it, we crave the drama. Update, April 23, 2024. Hey again Reddit, as for the update, I wish I had better news. After reading through the post and all the DMs everyone sent, thank you all for those, I was a bit overwhelmed and a bit confused, so I decided to just relax and really not try to jump to any conclusions through the weekend. Many of the points that were brought up did broaden my perspective, and some of the ones assuming infidelity, I won't lie, did get to me a bit, and I was running pretty high anxiety-wise. Realize, at this point, me, my wife, and my daughter, still aren't talking. Our home has suddenly become one of the most lonely, isolating and awkward places in the world. Sunday night, while watching some basketball, I basically just thought to myself I can't go on like this. So, I went and talked to my daughter. I approached the conversation in you can talk to me about anything, and if you and your boyfriend were having sexual issues, I would be glad to buy you guys more stuff. My daughter just starts to seemingly break down, to an almost uncontrollable sob. I'll be honest, I thought at this point she was going to inform me on some serious medical issues or something. Once she calmed down, she basically says that she's taken some of the vitamin D and zinc before, but has never taken any of the Lubrisil or black cohosh. I look at her with that "do you realize what that may mean" kind of look, and we just hugged, and cried together. I've spoken to some of my friends who have gone through similar things, and have gotten advice from lawyering up and divorcing my wife right away, to marriage counseling and fighting for the 25 years we've been together. At the moment, I'm not going to do anything. Need a bit more time to think, need to talk to my wife and really find out what's going on. This is probably the last update from me, as when I first came to Reddit this was just a silly fight between me and my wife. Now it's progressed to a place that it's feeling a bit too private for me to share, and the above update was a bit tougher to write. Thank you again for all your comments and perspective, you all have helped me see something that I was blind, or refusing, to see. John Top comments, Chef Kimberly, those 2 supplements aren't sex supplements, they are for menopause. Your wife may just be embarrassed that she has started menopause. She may be fearful that you will no longer find her desirable because she has started menopause. Step back a bit before you jump off that high board. 5am creature, there is the possibility that your wife needs the supplements for her own general comfort. I'm not at menopausal age, however do have medical conditions that can cause vaginal dryness, and it can range from uncomfortable to actually painful. It's personal and can be a very touchy subject. Not to mention the mood swings that come with menopause. Not saying cheating is completely out of the question, just saying there are other possibilities.